And then I had another bad dream that same night of like somebody pulling the covers off me, somebody clawing at my feet. Remember I was telling you that?
Yeah, yeah, you told me about that.
It freaked me out, and I was freaked out.
I felt like you was scared to go home that night by yourself.
I was scared to death,
Oh, Candace. You said
and
you.
I don't understand why. I don't know. I've never had any dreams like that in my life.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the old devil trying to torment you or something.
Something I don't know.
Have
But
has God
yeah,
has God give you any dreams of Summer like Dawn had? Have you ever had dreams of her?
yeah, but I'm not gonna say it online because people just rip it apart.
Okay, I don't blame you. I
But
don't.
I'll tell you later in private.
Okay, okay. Well, hopefully it's a good one.
But I do know the dreams that I do have of her. She's still alive.
Aw. Do you feel like in your heart that she's still alive,
I
Candace?
know she is.
Aw. A mom can sense that.
You know,
They can sense that.
I know she's still alive, and I know somebody has her.
Aw. I just pray that they can find out soon enough what
And
happened.
what makes me the maddest is I think they've got her, and they know that they got her, and they're sitting back and they're laughing at us.
You think so?
Yeah, I believe that with all my heart. I really do.
I pray
You know,
they're
you.
not
Know,
hurting her though. I
I do
pray that
too.
you're good to her.
Well, I pray every night and every day that whoever has her is not hurting her.
Yeah, I do too. I pray that they.
Sorry, I took over your chat. Sorry.
No. People need to hear this, Candace. They need to hear how you feel about your baby.
Summer was my life. She's what woke me up in the morning and I went to bed with. She wouldn't sleep in her own bed. She'd have to sleep right next to me, and I
Aw.
didn't mind that at all. It didn't bother me.
Yeah,
All my kids did that, and it didn't bother me.
that's
I
how I
love
would.
I loved them sleeping in the bed with me. Actually,
Me
I slept
too.
in the bed with my mommy and daddy till I was 13. I
Yeah,
was very little when I didn't really, I was a mommy and daddy's baby.
yeah, she was.
I was a grandpa's baby.
I
Yeah,
was a grandpa's baby, but fortunately I lost him, when I was 6. But I was his baby.
Hey, I lost mine when I was 6 and 7 years old too.
But you don't forget him. And I remember everything about my grandpa. And one thing I do remember is he was a strong, independent businessman. And I feel like I take after him a lot.
My grandfather was a Vietnam vet, and he was a very strong man.
That's awesome.
you were close to him, weren't you, Candace?
Yeah, me and him were like best friends.
Aw,
Like I wasn't really close with my grandma, but I was really close with my grandpa. He was like my best friend, my everything. That's like a couple uncles of mine that have passed away. I was really close to them too.
yeah. Your mom's brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a feeling that you was a little bit close to him. That you were close to him too. Frankie said she had a dream about Summer and she was alive, and I think she is now. Frankie said.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Frankie, I do believe she's alive, and I do believe somebody's got her.
Uh, the sleuth fairy said, Candace, I'm so glad you spoke tonight. I believe you. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm telling y'all, this is the Candace that we talked to. I'm glad she's coming out of her shell and she's actually getting to talk, you know, about how she feels. Um, I feel
And
like,
I love all my children, each and every one of them.
oh, I know you
Uh,
do.
even the ones that before summer and the boys.
Yeah. I wish you would reach back out to your oldest daughter again. She looks just like you.
She don't want to talk to me.
Well,
People
maybe,
have people have gotten to her. YouTube people have gotten to her, and it's made her believe that I'm this evil person. Like in the beginning, I was talking to her, and everything was cool. We were sending long drawn out paragraphs, sentences to each other, and we were finally getting a connection back together. She was actually going to come out and visit with me, and then when Summer come up missing, YouTube people got a hold of her and whispered in her ear and destroyed what we had going.
aw. Well, just keep praying. Maybe God will restore that again.
And it's okay, and I can't be mad at her because she's got to take care of her kids, and she don't want her kids going through the dramatic torture and drama, and I don't blame her.
No, I don't blame
And
her
I'm not
either.
mad at her, and I'll still love her from afar, like I always have.
Yeah. I
And
don't blame
I don't know where they got that. I pulled a gun out on CPS.
Oh, you didn't? Because that's what I heard.
Oh my gosh, no, I did not pull the gun out on CPS. The gun laid up against the wall next to the door, and when CPS walked into the door, the gun
Uh-huh.
laid there.
Oh, so where did I get that from? Because I heard it on the YouTube streets.
Well, there you go. You heard it on the YouTube streams.
I'm sorry, Candace. I'm glad you cleared that up, though. I'm
You just
sorry.
said it all day.
Well, like I told Justin, I was like, I don't know if it's true or not. Candace never told me that. I've just heard it on the
Actually,
YouTube.
my first kid's dad actually just come up from in the woods, and he was I don't know if they were target practicing or hunting for doe, Doe's him and his brother. But he come in the house and he was all bloody and nasty and dirty from whatever they were doing in the woods, and he laid it up against the wall right there next to the door. Well, then CPS knocked on the door, and I let him in, and the gun laid there, and they
Mhm.
tried to get me for pulling a gun out on CPS, but they couldn't charge me because it was laying up against the wall.
Wow. Why in the world? Is it just because you had a gun there? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
it was?
think so. I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wisconsin CPS, they're jokes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
CPS. I mean, CPS is different in every state you go to.
That's true. That is true.
So this is funny as crap. Like one time when I was a kid, because my dad didn't want me around or whatever, so I was in different group homes and foster homes and stuff. Because
Uh-huh.
I acted out when I was a kid because I didn't think my family loved me.
Right.
And so as a child, you act out because you like, well, if your family don't love you and care about you, then screw it. Why not be a fuck up?
Right.
Excuse my language.
That's okay.
So I'm like, yeah, I grew up in foster cares in the system and stuff like that, and it's been a crazy life that I've had to live, and people just don't realize what people go through.
Absolutely. But you know what? God knows. God's been there with you the whole time. And when you go through that, and you're young, you don't realize you're just, a child's mind does not develop fully until they're 20, in their early 20s, like 21, 22. So, until you get to be a little bit older, you don't start thinking like an adult until you get into your 20s. And so it's easy to make mistakes, especially if you've had a rough life, you know?
I mean, I think I grew up I grew up too fast when I was little.
Yeah.
Like I had to do stuff and like had to protect myself from, well, not try to be rude, but inhumane people.
Really? Like, what do you mean, like inhumane? Like,
Well, I remember one time it was somewhere in Wisconsin. I think it was Eau Claire or something. They put me in this group home, and I was only probably about 12 years old, I think.
uh-huh.
And I remember sitting up on the top bunk, and the song come on, and I can't remember the name of the song. Oh my gosh, what's the name of the song? If only God knows why. I think
Yeah.
it played.
Mhm.
But I sat up there, and they did not ask me if I needed anything to eat, anything to drink, if I needed any sheets or anything like that.
Wow.
It was a very evil place, and like I'm like all these other kids were like way older than me, and because I was so young, they would push me around.
Oh, so how did you get food and stuff?
Well, eventually, I told my caseworker when I was little. Eventually, they moved me to a real foster home that actually cared about kids,
Oh,
and that's where I stayed until I actually got used to like caring and trying to build my life. Like I graduated from
wow.
Elk Mound High School in Wisconsin,
Wow.
but there's a lot of people that says I've never graduated, but I have.
Well, I'm proud of you, Candace.
And I had a class ring when I was with my first kid's dad, and he got mad at me and took it and threw it out in the yard, and I could never find it ever again.
Oh,
And he was a very evil man.
that is so cruel, ain't it?
My first kid's dad would tell me to run, and I was 18 when I met him, so I really didn't understand how love and relationships worked, right?
Yeah.
So I moved out there with him, and he lived on his dad's property, and he would literally tell me to run through the swamp, and he would shoot above my head with a shotgun.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Was you terrified?
Yeah, I was very terrified, but I had two kids with him, and he would like psychologically abuse me. Like he would
didn't
always
know
be like, "Well, if you leave me, I'm taking the kids, and there ain't nothing you can do." And I love my kids, I didn't want to be away from my kids,
Right.
and so like I tried everything like to make him happy. He would like come home from work, and we lived in this little itty bitty camper, like a little itty bitty camper,
Mhm.
and he would come home from work, and if supper wasn't done, and he didn't like the way I peppered it or salted it or whatever it tastes, he would slam it against the wall and like that's just, he would say, "You dumb," saying all kinds of hateful crap.
Oh,
He would just it was just I've had a very troubling childhood and kind of a traumatic teenage life that I usually don't tell people about.
yeah, but you couldn't help it. You was a child yourself, Candace.
Yeah, you was a baby. Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I was little.
and if anyone's ever not been in an abusive relationship, you will not understand. You feel trapped and you don't know how to get out.
Yeah.
I know.
Ah.
I was.
Go ahead, Daisy.
I was in one at the same age, and I didn't have children. I couldn't imagine how hard it would have been if I had children. But he literally killed me. When I said I got shot at too, yeah, literally running out of houses where he would start trouble with other people, and he liked to kill me. He'd go like 100 miles an hour down the road and pull the emergency brake, and we'd go round and round and round. It's wonder he didn't kill me. So I understand. I didn't know how to get out. I was terrified.
I mean, I have a scar on. I don't remember if it's my left or right arm, but I was leaned up against his truck, and his truck was all rusted out and stuff. But he like got really mad and pissed off, and he flew out the driveway and it ripped my whole arm open, and I had to go to the hospital and get stitches for it.
Oh my gosh, Candace.
So I mean, I thank God now that I have Donnie, because Donnie's actually a way better man than the guy that I was with.
Oh, I can imagine. I am so sorry, Candace.
And that was the first two kids' dad.
You know, I feel like your daughter kind of went through a hard time too, your oldest one.
Yeah,
So
she did.
I think she needs you more than you know, and I pray that one day you all can restore your relationship.
Well, see, I mean, this is how much abuse, like, I don't know, the foster care system or the folks that she was raised with or whatever. I don't know them, but somebody had told her that I beat the crap out of her and her brother with a baseball bat. I don't even own a baseball bat, never have, never will.
I could never see you doing that ever.
And, like, I was like, where did you hear this from? And she's like, that's what my foster family told me. I'm like, okay, well, that's really weird.
Right.
And then my third child that I had in Arkansas with another man that I met before I met Donnie, I had her and everything, and I was living with a friend of mine here in Arkansas. Well, her dad was hooked on stuff that nobody can imagine, and he overdosed from, I think it was morphine patches or something like that. He overdosed. He was a good guy. And social services come in and asked, because I was still young, I was still, 20 years old, and we sat down and I talked to them, and I thought for the best thing for her was for her to be adopted out. That way she didn't have to be, I guess, I don't know, didn't have to be going down the road I was going. Because at that time, yeah, I wasn't in my right mind. Yeah, I was doing stuff. I was homeless.
Yeah.
But then, after I met Donnie, and I can't really talk about the boys, so I can't say much.
Yeah.
But we had our first one. Well, actually, our first one was a kitty cat.
Yeah.
And we saved it from a closet.
Aw.
And then we had our firstborn. And then we moved out to help his mom because she was not doing too good. She was sick.
Yeah.
And then, his mom loved me to death.
Oh.
I took care of her. She was had to be changed and all that, diapers, and took in the bath and, cleaned up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I did that for a long time for his mom. By raising my first kid.
Wow. Was he
With
close?
Donnie.
I bet Don's mom was close to Josie, wasn't he?
Oh, yes. They were inseparable.
Oh.
And then I remember when she was passing, she said, one's leaving this world and one's entering this world. And that's when I had little man, Wyatt.
Oh. Is that his nickname? Little man?
Oh, no. I just say that just so people can't she's talking about the boys, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters that I'm talking about the boys past tense.
Yeah.
But, I just don't want to be in trouble for that.
Yeah. I don't.
And then we had Waylon. And then Summer. And it was because we had all three boys, and it was like, are we ever going to have a girl? And then when we had a girl, it was like, oh my God, we were in shock, and we were so amazed and so in love.
Yes. I could tell you loved her so much.
She's my angel, and I love her so much.
And baby Waylon looks like you too, I think.
Josie and Wyatt look a lot alike, and Waylon and Summer look a lot alike.
They did.